Thanks everyone for coming. So I'm going to let the video first explain kind of what's going on, and then we'll go from there. So enjoy.
It's time.
So, yeah, this announcement, oh, it's not showing up properly, just heads up, you can't see the font. Oh wait, you're faded in. Okay, thank you very much everyone for coming. So I am announcing that I will be running in the by-election for the Ward 1 councillor seat that's just recently become available. So basically what I'm just going to do is run through really quick just a few of my platform points, and then if you have any questions, I'd love to get a group photo if you guys were willing, and then I shouldn't take up too much of your time. So one of the first things I want to work on is communication. I want to continue using things like communication tools like Ask Veronica. So in the last election I did YouTube segments where residents were allowed to ask me questions, so they emailed, they tweeted, some people just asked me in person. So I want to continue that so that I can continue to be engaged. This is something I would promise to continue after the election. So I would continue to have Ask Veronica segments where people could ask me about community events, decisions on council, and other things like that. I'm going to continue to be present on social media as well. I still have my Twitter account, I still have Instagram. I want residents to be able to communicate with me, and I don't want it to just be about things I'm doing in the community. I want it to be about decisions I've made that people might be questioning. My community presence is going to continue. You'll see me at community events. I was recently at a Legion Resurgent and Love-A-Palooza. I'll be going to the Multicultural Expo tomorrow. So if you see me, take pictures of me, even if they're like sneaky paparazzi kind, and tweet it out, share it, so people see that I'm out and about at events. That would be great. One of the things I'm going to ask when I'm successful in getting the seat is I want to be part of Councillors Corner. Currently only 3 of the councillors participate in that. It's basically a quarterly event where people can come talk to councillors, but only 3 are currently participating. So I want to ask, why aren't all of the councillors participating? Why is it on a rotational schedule? So that if you're from maybe a certain area or they're part of a certain committee, you want to talk about that issue, you want to be able to reach them in person, that could be accessible. The second area I want to talk about is business development. So how are we going to keep promoting local business? Something common I'm seeing now is a lot of people having to run businesses out of their homes that aren't meant to be home business because there isn't enough space. So even though we're in a little bit of a downturn with oil prices, we still need land release. We still need release land for people who are currently living here and the people that are going to come. So we need to keep looking at that with that continued land development. We also need to look at what are we doing for not-for-profits, social profits, making sure that they have space to operate as well that's affordable so that they can be sustainable and continue to grow with our needs. The last thing is stakeholder relations. So we want to make sure that if an investor is kind of questioning whether or not they should be here when the oil price goes down, maybe we need to question that relationship with that investor. We want people who will stay here when we're struggling and then be part of our successes when it comes back up, because it's going to. So we need to be kind of critical about those relationships and maybe look at some new endeavors. The last thing I'm passionate about is family needs. So we need more birth choices in Fort McMurray. And a lot of this is provincial, but I still think municipal government has the power to advocate for these things. So things like getting midwives into Fort McMurray, having an actual birth center that's separate from the hospital, so if you have a few more options like that. We need more early childhood development programs. I think, I heard the stats at Convergence, we have about 6,000 children under the age of 5 or so in Fort McMurray, and only about 2,000 of them are actually in some kind of program. So that might be licensed daycare, early childhood, early entry programs, that kind of thing. So where are the other 4,000 getting their interactions? Are they getting that quality programming that they need at that early intervention age? And the last one that I think is really important, and it's just a testament. Families are staying here longer, and we need senior spaces.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that needs to look like. I want more input. So if you know people who are aging, who are wondering, is Fort McMurray the place where I'm going to stay, I'd love to talk with them and get them to tell me what they want. I'd love to talk to those families as well, find out what their vision is, because I don't have the answers yet. So that's where you guys can come in and get me some of those connections. That would be excellent. And finally, the ways you can support me, participate. So submit questions on Ask Veronica. You can submit testimonials if you know me, if you like what I did in the last election, or if you like what I stand for. You can do video testimonials, written testimonials. Support packages will be available after nomination day, which is March 2nd. So they'll have lawn signs, promotional items, that kind of thing. So sign up to get one of those. And these kind of things can be expensive, so if you can do any kind of contribution, I'd like to do some different ways of advertising outside of just print media. So if you can give anything, I had to calculate it, if every person that voted for me in the last election gave me $5, I'd have $15,000 to work with. So if you can give more than that, that's fantastic. Even $1 makes a difference to me. So if you have any questions, I'd be open to them now, or we can just, anyone have any questions? Yes, Mr. Dahl.
So one of the complaints about the current council is that, unlike the previous one, it's kind of become a do-nothing council. I know in the last election that you were somewhat critical of some of the development in the city centre. How do you find the balance between, I guess, appropriate development and then no development?
I think that's a great question. One of the big things, and I talked to a counselor about this, was the expropriation and how it was handled. And basically what it came down to, and this came out in that KMPG audit as well, was that there weren't any proper policies in place. So expropriation, in my opinion, should be like the last thing you do. So you've planned out, you have the location picked, and now you're going to pursue that land. And in our case, it seems like they decided before consultation that they were going to choose an area, expropriate. What they're sitting with now is a lot of buildings that are empty. We aren't sure if the arena is going to happen, and now if city council decides not to put an arena there, they're going to be paying fees to the people they expropriated, to the lawyers and that kind of thing. So I think right now, unfortunately, those were decisions made by the even previous council, and they're still dealing with it. They're working through it. It's something, like I said, I talked to a counselor about. I don't want to see development stopping in Fort McMurray. I don't like seeing boarded up buildings. And I think when we're having these big events coming like the summer games, we need to make sure that we have a lot of beautiful things to showcase. So we need to get on track and just continue expanding. And yeah, so I don't want it to be standstill. I don't want us to just stop whenever oil prices dip. We're stopping development because we're not sure what's going to happen. We're all living here. We're all having families here. We need stuff here that we've been playing catch up with for quite some time. So. Anyone else? Yes.
As you know, because you know you're an EAP teacher, childcare here in Fort McMurray is essentially non-existent, and it's not affordable for young families. We have some of the highest birth rates in all of Alberta, and all of these families don't have a credited, safe place to put their children. How will council, how will you be advocating for more daycare centers or day homes, or even getting non-for-profit organizations, you know, to help out with this huge issue?
Childcare is a huge issue. When I was on the Boys and Girls Club board, we actually started a daycare, which is a lengthy and it's a hard process, and it's actually something that you don't make money in. So it's really hard for not-for-profits when you're already struggling to just hit that black line. Basically, something I talked about in the last election was, is there a way to look at possibly giving tax credits or something, like local tax credits to licensed childcare facilities? So if you're meeting all of the criteria, you're following the number regulations, so how many kids you can have in your program, how can the city help you continue that and continue to professionally develop yourself and pursue that education as well, because that's a constant in early childhood, is you need to continue to learn. You don't know everything about kids just because of something you took a while back. I'd like to see that happen, and as more spaces become available, hopefully the affordability would come there too. And also talking and advocating to the provincial government. Currently subsidy is about $400, and I know when I was at the Boys and Girls Club, our rate was one of the lowest, and at about $1,100 a month for a facility. And so that still leaves families trying to pay $700, and then if you have more than one child in care, it adds up really quickly, and some people are making a choice whether both parents work or they struggle month to month and have one at home with their children. So that shouldn't be a choice that families in Fort McMurray have to make.
Vote for Veronica.
Okay, so I just want to thank you guys for coming out. This is really special to have this many people in the room, and it feels really nice to have your support. If you want, we can take a picture maybe. I don't know where would be the best spot.
You want to take a selfie? Look like a selfie?
Oh, I should probably selfie stick! Okay, let's try that, I guess.